Hi dear teachers, glad to meet you here again and welcome to my online session. It's me, Toshpolatova Mahbuba Ikramovna. So dear teachers, today we are going to talk about teaching speaking in English lessons. As you know, speaking is one of the most important skills and it is considered as one of the most difficult skills in language teaching besides writing, listening and reading ones. So, in today's session, we will talk about how to teach speaking effectively. I made some plans for this session. The first question what is speaking, and the next one is we will try to talk about sub-skills of speaking, and the next one is we will try to answer this question, what is teaching speaking? And then we will talk about speaking activities in the classroom. The next question, problems of learners with speaking activities, and we will try to see the problems and try to find some solutions to these problems. And then we will see rating scales for assessing speaking according to CFR, and the last one is principles for designing speaking techniques. So let's get started. So what is speaking? Here I given two statements by famous linguists. As Cheney says, speaking is a process of building and sharing meaning through the use of verbal and non-verbal symbols in a variety of contexts. Here I want you to pay attention to these phrases, verbal and non-verbal symbols or communication. What do you think? What is verbal communication and what is non-verbal communication? Yes, you're right. Verbal communication, it is our speech with words, and non-verbal communication, it is using body language when we are speaking. Using body language, it is very, very important while teaching any language. So, it is impossible without teaching language without any body language. Especially, it is essential for our elementary levels. And the next statement, as Brown says, speaking is an interactive process of constructing meaning that involves producing and receiving and processing information. And speaking is a productive skill which involves using speech to express meanings to other people. And here you can also see some sub-skills of speaking skill. So they are vocabulary, grammar, social language, register, pronunciation, listening comprehension, fluency, and body language. And what is teaching speaking? While speaking, we expect our students to be able to produce the English speech sounds and sound patterns, and use words and sentences, stress, intonation, and the rhyme, and select appropriate words and sentences according to the audience, situation, and subject matter. And the next one is organize their thoughts in a meaningful and a logical sequence. Use language as a means of expressing values and judgments. And the last one is they use the language quickly and confidently. And how to teach speaking effectively. So as you know, communicative language teaching method is a prime and current methods nowadays. So in this method, all activities are done collaboratively and cooperatively, and materials are taken real-life situations, and the mode of work is work in pairs and groups. When our students are working in groups and in pairs, they feel free and confident themselves, and they do not afraid of making mistakes. What is like a good speaking activity? So let's see. A good speaking activity is communicative, and it gives a reason for learners to speak, and is appropriate the level and age of your students, and is flexible and is adaptable. We can adapt a good speaking activity to any level and to any topic, and is involving all students participate, not only 3 or 4 active students, and is interesting, develops fluency, not only fluency, but we can say accuracy, interaction, range, coherence, and etc. And allows students' own contributions, and allows students to choose the language, vocabulary, and grammar structures. And here given basically 3 types of activities which we can use in the classroom. So they are guided activities. So these activities are accuracy based, but a little more creative and productive. And the output is still controlled by the teacher, but the exact language isn't. And these activities are model dialogues and guided role play. And the next types of activities are controlled activities. They are accuracy based, and but language is controlled by the teacher too. And these activities are drilling activities, choral and individual listening to, and a repetition of the teacher's mode of pronunciation. And the last and the most important one is creative communication. These activities are fluency-based activities. The scenario is usually created by the teacher, but the content of the language isn't. In this case, we can use such kind of activities like free role plays, discussion activities, debates, simulations, communicative game, and etc. And of course, like other skills, when we are teaching or learning a speaking skill, we may face some difficulties and challenges. And here are given some problems of learners with speaking activities. And let's see these problems. Of all 4 skills, speaking seems to be the most important language skill. And since students who speak a language can communicate well, both orally and in writing. And good speakers always prove that they are good listeners and readers. However, teaching and developing EFL learners' speaking skill is a real challenge for many EFL teachers. Why students don't speak in EFL classes? So, mute English learners is a phenomenon prevailing in many classes. These kinds of learners are not low achievers. They may be able to read and write English but as a result of that, many EFL teachers neglect to teach or promote the speaking skill in their students. They find great difficulty to speak, and some of them are reluctant to participate in speaking activities. Consequently, they became unable to communicate in English orally with ease and comfort. And here also some problems are given. So as you've seen here, glossophobia, 75% of the population, and we have a fear of being laughed at. Most students or even some teachers are afraid of making mistakes. And time pressure, lack of vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar mistakes. So they are afraid of making pronunciation mistakes or grammar mistakes. And so here are given some factors affecting speaking. Some students may say, I hate role play, I love talking about real things, I do not want to pretend. And others may mention the teachers is always asking us to talk about difficult things like about global warming. It is so difficult. I can't even talk about in my own language. And the next one is I never speak in class. I'm too nervous and everyone is better than me, so I just stay quiet. And How can I speak when I don't know all the words? Some students may say, I'm afraid of making mistakes. It is really, really important. Most of our students are afraid of making mistakes, and how we can overcome these difficulties, and how can we find solution to these problems. As teachers, we must try to overcome these hurdles and encourage student interaction. The aim should be to create a comfortable atmosphere where students are not afraid to speak or make mistakes and enjoy communicating with teacher and their fellow students. So try to ease your students and remove their nervousness, fear, and anxiety with encouraging words. So rating scales for assessing speaking according to CFR. According to CFR, there are 6 criteria, and let's see each of them. Range, accuracy, fluency, interaction, coherence, and cohesion. Now we will see each of them differently. What is range? Here is given some explanation about this range, and in shortly I can say it is range is how to use the words, what combinations of phrasal words or idiomatic expressions in appropriate places, in appropriate style. And the next one is accuracy. Accuracy, it is speaking using correct form of grammar. Not only grammar, vocabulary and pronunciation. Consistently maintains a high degree of grammatical accuracy. Errors are rare and difficult to spot and generally corrected when they occur. And the next criteria is fluency. It is main aspect of one of the main aspects of speaking skill. So what is fluency? It is speaking smoothly, naturally, and confidently, without any hesitation, without any long pauses, and shortly we can say full of norms while speaking. And the next here is given fluency-based activities. You can use this activity with your students. If you use such kind of activities, you will improve their fluency criteria. So, and the next criteria is interaction. What is interaction? It is to interact in a better way, face-to-face conversation, to enable to answer questions and to respond to the given questions. Turn taking is negotiated because speakers are familiar with the rules and skills of turn taking. And 2 rules are to be followed here. So long silences are to be avoided and listen when other speakers are speaking. And the next criteria is coherence and cohesion. They are similar to each other, but it has some differences. So can create and cohesive conversation, making full and appropriate use of variety of organizational patterns and a wide range of connectors and other cohesive devices. And here is given sample activity for improving coherence criteria. And you can use this activity in your classes. Now let's talk about principles for designing speaking techniques. So the first one is focus on both fluency and accuracy depending on your objectives, and then provide intrinsically motivating techniques. And the next one, encourage the use of authentic language in meaningful contexts and provide appropriate feedbacks and correction. The next one is capitalize on the natural link between speaking and listening. Give students opportunities to initiate oral communication. And here I want to give you some suggestions to improve teaching speaking. Provide maximum opportunity to students to speak. Give them chance to speak more. So reduce teacher talking time. Try to involve each student in every speaking activity. And reduce teacher speaking time in class. How can you do this? So if you use communicative language teaching activities, in this case you will reduce teacher speaking time. In this case your students talk more than you. The next one is indicate a positive signs. Do not correct students' pronunciation mistakes vary, especially when they are speaking. While they are speaking, never interrupt them, never stop them, and do not correct their mistakes. After their speech, you can give them feedback. And involve speaking activities not only in class, but also out of class. And then circulate around a classroom to ensure that students are on the right track. And provide the vocabulary beforehand and diagnose problems. And let's summarize our session. So, it is possible to adapt speaking activities to different levels. And the next one is, it is important to use small groups or pairs during speaking activities so that all students can participate in your activity. In order to carry out an objective assessment of students' oral production, it is necessary to have assessment criteria, and we have seen these criteria above. And thank you for your attention. Here is given some questions for you. Try to give answers, test yourself, and thank you for joining my lesson. See you the next time. Goodbye.